Good evening, everyone. My name is Helena Thompson, and I'm a Senior Program Manager in the Department of Aviation. Welcome to the April Good Neighbor Program Community Meeting. I'm going to give everybody just a couple more minutes to log in, and then I will be back with you maybe in about 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll go ahead and start the presentation. So just hang tight. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the Department of Aviation's Good Neighbor Program meeting. We host these meetings quarterly with the goal of providing updates on some of the major projects we're working on, as well as soliciting feedback or suggestions on ways we can enhance our operations, and most of all, be better partners to the neighborhoods surrounding Love Field. Again, my name's Helena Thompson. I'm the Senior Program Manager in the Department of Aviation. And I'm very happy to be here with you this evening. I do a lot of different things in the department, but among other things, I'm in charge of this, the Good Neighbor program, so I'm particularly pleased to be with you. Because of broadband issues, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera, but I did want to just take a minute to introduce myself. I've met a lot of you throughout the last couple of years at our community meetings, and I hope to meet many others of you as we continue to try to better engage the community around Love Field. So let me turn off my camera and then we'll get started. Okay. Chris, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. If you need help at any time, you can send a question through the live event question and answer feature located to the right of your screen. Please note that your video and audio have been muted. Feel free to ask a question by using the same feature. And for our Spanish speakers, we will be posting a link to our Spanish presentation in the question and answer. Next slide. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Next slide, please. In terms of our agenda for this evening, tonight I'll be giving you a brief overview of the GNP program, and then I'm going to turn it over to our Interim Assistant Director over Infrastructure and Development, Cliff York. Cliff will be providing you with updates on some of our major projects at Love Field, and then I'll come back to you to provide you updates on some of our recent community engagement initiatives. And finally, I'm going to turn it over to our most recent addition to the community engagement team, Ms. Rachel Simpson, to moderate any questions you may have. As I said, we're going to answer any questions at the end of this meeting, so please feel free to submit them during the presentation via the Q&A feature. Next slide, please. Good. Next slide. I know a number of you have joined us for previous presentations. However, I think it's important for those of you who are joining us for the first time to give you a brief overview of this program. The GNP, or Good Neighbor Program, grew out of the 2015 Master Plan, as some of you may be aware, as a community outreach component. It encompasses projects and activities outside the runway and terminal that we try to undertake on our property. It's a way for us to connect with the community, to assist us with future ideas and planning input. And as some of you may be aware, the airport owns land outside the terminal. And in keeping with the city's goal of creating livable, walkable, and interconnected neighborhoods, we want to extend planning wherever possible to our community. And we certainly value your input. Our mission is, as it says, to do all the good we can in all the ways that we can. Next slide, please, Chris. Okay. The goals of the Good Neighbor Program are to focus on off-airport urban design, landscaping and beautification, parks, trails, and recreational activities, signage and traffic improvements, and pedestrian improvements. Our director, Mark Diebner, has a saying which I think perfectly sums up the goals of this program. And so that's why I put it on the slide. It says, we are an airport that happens to be in the middle of a community, but our goal is to be a community that happens to be located around an airport. Next slide, please. Okay. On this side, you'll see our target areas, which basically extend all the way around the airport. Lemmon Avenue to the east, Shorecrest to the north, Denton Drive to the west, and Mockingbird to the south. And of course, Herb Kelleher Way, which is the entrance to our airport at Love Field. We don't own all of this land, but these are the basic boundaries of the airport where our activities end and the community begins. Next slide. Now I'm going to turn it over, as I said, to our interim assistant director, Cliff York, who will provide you with information on some of our projects that we are undertaking at the airport.
Thanks, Elena. This is Cliff York, Interim Assistant Director for Infrastructure and Development. I hope everybody's having a good night, and hopefully we'll be able to start doing these back in person sometime pretty soon. The first project, and like Elena, just for broadband issues, I'm going to turn my camera off. Just wanted to do an introduction with the camera on. So the first project we'll update you on is the Lemmon Avenue Bluffview intersection. This was kind of a joint venture between the Department of Transportation, City's Department of Transportation, Public Works, DART, and Aviation. Aviation did a lot of the design. It was tweaked through Public Works and Transportation, and then they have continued doing the work. This project is currently underway. If you've driven down Lemmon Avenue, you know that there's lane closures associated with this project. They're moving along on it quite well. I would say they're pretty close to being done. They've done most of the civil work. I have not seen them work on the street lights as far as putting them in service yet, but they have them all installed. So the project itself started in December and should be completed by late spring. There will be some new traffic signals, high visibility crosswalks. So the traffic pattern itself will change a little bit in this area, and especially for the crossing from Bluffview to Lemmon Avenue and then into the airport entrance here itself. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So this is just a couple of images of the work underway. As you can see, majority of the street work is done. The sidewalk is what they're working on here today in the images, but they've actually completed that work and they've installed most of the sod in the area as well. Go ahead and go to the next slide. The next project that we're going to be starting here towards the end of April is our entry road enhancement project. And this will be reconstructing the landscaping and beautification from basically Mockingbird Lane all the way up to the terminal on both sides of Herb Kelleher Way. The construction will take place, like I said, towards the end of this month, and it'll be completed sometime in the summer of 22. The project does include enhanced streetlights, pedestrian lighting, sidewalks, like I said, landscaping, decorative art features, signature art features, as well as a new airport monument sign. One of the things that we're very happy about is if you've driven on Herb Kelleher Way, you know the lighting bollards on the roadway itself are kind of a nuisance with the height of the lights. Those will all be replaced with LED high pole lights. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Another project that the airport currently has underway, and many of you have already participated in some of the design charrettes that we've conducted, is the Lemmon Avenue Streetscape project. This project is still in the design phase. It's going to be having some sidewalk improvements, bike path improvements, landscaping. We'll have a couple of pocket parks at Midway Manor and the new North Neighborhood Park. Go on to the next slide, please. So like I said, we're currently still in the design phase. Most of the sidewalk will be running on the north side of Lemmon Avenue. It'll be a 10-foot shared use walk bike path. We do plan to have it cross over Lemmon Avenue at near Shorecrest, and then the airport will be reconfiguring a little bit of its own property to make the connection over to Bachman Lake itself, over to the trails at Bachman Lake. We're coordinating this activity with the City of Dallas's Parks and Recs, Office of Cultural Affairs, Transportation, and DART. The design of this project should be completed by fall of 21. Let's go ahead and go on to the next. So this is an image of what we expect to take place down at the Airdrome, Mockingbird, Lover's Lane Triangle area. If you drive by the area right now, it's mainly just a flat piece of grass. So we're going to try to change the area and have a little bit of landscaping to it. Unfortunately, we cannot make this a park area. The FAA does not allow parks to be constructed underneath the runway protection zone, the RPZ. We cannot have large congregations of individuals in the area. So we're not able to do anything that would attract the public in the area itself. So there'll be no walkways or anything else in there, but we will beautify the area itself. Go ahead and go to the next slide. We are going to be enhancing a couple of the crosswalks, one at Lover's Lane, Lemmon Avenue, and then also intersection improvements and crosswalks over at Shorecrest and Lover's Lane. Go ahead and next slide. These are the two pocket parks that we're trying to install as part of this project. There's already one at Midway Manor, but we're going to be enhancing what's there, and then we're going to be installing a new park near west of Northwest Highway, and we'll have a sidewalk that will connect down to Northwest Highway for future pedestrian connections later. And then this will be able to, it's a walkable park. There's really no driving to it, unfortunately, but it is a walkable park. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So with the Lemmon Avenue Streetscape project, we're doing a lot of internal and external stakeholder coordination, Parks and Recs, the Transportation Office, Environmental Quality, Public Works, Planning and Urban Design, Dallas Water Utilities, and we're coordinating with DART, COG, and of course the FAA because of where it lies underneath the approaches to our runway. Like I said, we've had several outreach meetings and we've gotten numerous feedback, both from the design charrettes that we've done and also online survey. And then like we're doing here right now, we're doing community updates through the quarterly Good Neighbor program. Go ahead and go on to the next slide. As part of the Streetscape projects, we're working with the National Park Service. They've given us a technical assistance grant to help coordinate and develop a love field loop trail around the airport. The Park Service is also working closely with North Texas Council of Government on their Bachman area survey that's underway right now. They've been very instrumental in helping develop community outreach for the trails around the love field. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And as I just mentioned, COG is currently working on a Bachman area planning study. They are taking input from users. I believe we posted some information in our QA as far as how to interact and give COG some feedback on it. The survey, the latest survey is closing in May. They've had a previous survey that closed in February, but they're still gathering more information. They've got a new survey that's out for community input, and the area that you see in red defines the study area itself. Go ahead and go to the next. So one of the big projects that we just got kicked off at the airport is our runway 13 right, 31 left construction project. This is the Denton Drive runway. So right now it's in the initial phases where we're doing some lead up work, some preparatory work. So the runway itself hasn't closed, but it is anticipated to be closed at the end of this month, and it's going to be closed for approximately 10 months. There should have been a mailer that you guys have received in February. So if you haven't received that, let us know. We'll get you some information on it. We're also posting information on our website as far as the construction and statuses. Unfortunately, while the runway is closed, there will be an increase in the noise levels on 13 left, which is the Lemmon Avenue runway, because that'll be our sole runway in operation during that 10-month phase. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is really the phasing plan for the runway construction right now. Currently, we're in the yellow, the gold area. We're doing enabling work, the initial taxiway, the new taxiway tangle that's going to be on the west side. Like I said, in late April, that's when the runway actually shuts down, from April of 21 through February of 22. And that's the green and the orange areas on the screen. The area in blue is a taxiway work that's going to be done at the same time the construction of the runway has been done, and we'll actually be using the runway as a taxi path for some of our tenants while the area in blue is constructed. In February of 22, the runway work is anticipated to be done. We do still have a couple of other phases that we're going to be doing for some interior work, but they will not affect the runway itself, so the runway will be open. Go ahead and go to the next image. So this is just a couple of photos of some of the work that's currently underway. There is a lot of earthwork for the new taxiway that's going on. And just so everybody understands, we do have the required stormwater protection plan means and measures in place to prevent as much drainage runoff as possible. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we were asked by the FAA if we could introduce this project to the community. The FAA is currently planning to take advantage of our runway closure to replace some of their cables. What they've got is they've got one of their nav aids that is located on the west side of Bachman Lake. So what they're planning to do is horizontally drill underneath the lake, come up on the inside of the airfield, and then trench across the airfield to their ILS equipment. This project will be occurring basically in the middle of this year. Like I said, when the runway's closed, it should be contained to their leased property on the west side of Bachman Lake within their compound area. And then it'll, like I said, it'll come up on the airport side. They've worked closely with DWU to make sure that their cable path, their drilling is not going to interfere with any of the DWU plans on the lake or the dredging itself. If you have any questions on this project, if you could send them to us, we will then direct them over to the FAA for any responses themselves. Again, this is not an airport project. It is an FAA project that we're working closely with them on. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So as we've covered on a number of times, the Braniff Center has been an ongoing development for a while. One of the newest items that they're currently working on finishing touches on is the new Calloway that's going to be on the southeast side of the complex. So this will be open to the public. They've made great progress. I know they've got higher signs out there, so we do expect them to be opening in late spring this year. And at that, I will turn it back over to Elena. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Cliff. Chris, can you go to the next slide, please? As we work, the Department of Aviation works to build bridges with our community. I thought it was also important to share with you that we have a variety of different ways that we try to give back to the community. So we've been very proud to have been able to partner with Catholic Charities to support their quarterly food distribution event to those in need. The event took place in a parking lot that's owned by us, which is at the corner of Harry Hines and Mockingbird, and it actually took place on March 12th. And you can see that we served over 1,000 families, 1,118 to be exact, and gave away over 76,000 pounds of food. So this was actually the second event that the Department of Aviation has hosted along with Catholic Charities. The previous event took place last November at Dallas Executive Airport. Next slide, please. We're also proud that we're able to support our community by donating 7 large boxes of unclaimed items from our lost and found to the St. Vincent de Paul at Bachman Lake on Northwest Highway. St. Vincent de Paul was very happy to receive the items and will work to provide them to those in need. And so I want to give a big shout out of thanks to our customer engagement on Lost and Found division for letting us donate these items to the community. Next slide, please. I also thought it was important to let you know of some of the achievements by the environmental team within the Department of Aviation. The environmental group has their Love Field Advisory Committee meeting, which, by the way, the meeting is going to take place this Thursday. And so we don't often speak of them during these meetings, but their efforts at the terminal have been very far-reaching, and they've done a lot of good for the environment. And so I thought they deserve to be recognized. You can see on the screen that they have completed their multi-year waste diversion goal. What this means is that they're actually recycling more and sending less goods to the landfill. They also have a new water bottle refill station, and so as a result of that, approximately 300,000 plastic water bottles were diverted from the terminal's waste streams in last year alone. And finally, they're working with the concessionaires at Love Field to gather used cooking oil, and they were able to gather over 8,450 gallons of used cooking oil were diverted from going down the pipes and being considered as waste, and they're actively seeking ways to convert those products into things like soap, cosmetic, and fuels. So we're very proud of their efforts, and I just wanted to share it with the community. Next slide, please. Okay, so we recently met with the Lovefield West Neighborhood Association, and I know some of their members are listening this evening. We're very excited to meet with their board as we strive to expand our contacts around the airport. And while we don't own land, as I mentioned before, on the west side of the airport, like we do on Lemmon Avenue, we're still interested to see what we can do to be a better neighbor. So if you we're so excited to meet with the Lovefield West Neighborhood Association, but if you, the listeners, are part of a local organization and would like for members of our department to meet with you in the future, please let me know. We'd be happy to do so. Next slide. Okay, I just wanted to remind you that we have created a new Good Neighbor Program Facebook group where we'll be posting items of interest to the community. I think we're up to over 50 members, so I'm excited about that. And if you're interested in receiving updates real time, I'd like to encourage you to join. Next slide, please. Okay, on this slide, you'll see some of our contact information, the best way to get in touch with us. We do have a program hotline. It's answered 24/7. It's 214-670-LOVE. It's pretty easy to remember. And if you just tell the person who answers the phone what it is that you're interested in, then they can direct you to the right person at the airport. And then we also have a group email, lovefieldgnp@dallascityhall.com. which is a very good way to contact us. And then last but not least, we have our own program website. It's goodneighborplan.com. We will be posting a copy of this recording as well as the presentations on that website probably within 24 hours. Next slide, please. Okay. We also just want to remind you, we also do publish a lot of information via Facebook, Twitter, etc. So if you're interested in staying in contact with us or finding out the latest updates, please like us or follow us at dallaslovefield.com. Next slide, please. So to sum it up, we believe in being a good neighbor and want to hear from you. And as was mentioned in prior meetings, the 2015 master plan identified buffers, landscaping, and pedestrian crossroads as items of interest or priority to the community. And I know we've talked about those in previous meetings. I just wanted to put this slide up to remind you again that we're interested in hearing from you. Are those priorities the same? Have your priorities changed? And what else would you like to see in terms of community connections? And finally, what else can we do to make us a good neighbor? Next slide. Okay. So our director let Cliff and myself present tonight. However, I know he's also very interested in hearing from you. So he wants to encourage you, or would like to encourage you to contact him. That's his direct phone number. You can also reach out to me via any of the methods that I put on the previous slides, or I'll give you my personal email address. It's my first name, Helena, Helena, .Thompson, THOMPSON, @dallascityhall.com. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so we have now reached the end of the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Rachel to read the comments that we received ahead of time. Some of you sent in comments, and I appreciate that very much. I did want to let you know that we received 1 or 2 comments concerning noise, and so we've referred those to the Lovefield Environmental Advisory Committee. As I said, they're going to have a meeting this Thursday, and we will make sure that those questions that you submitted are answered personally, but we've referred them for the time being to that committee. There was also another question regarding the skate park, which is actually a project that's managed by the Park and Rec Department. And so I will work with the Park and Rec Department to make sure that we provide an appropriate response. It's not a project that's managed by the Department of Aviation, and so I don't have the specific information. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Rachel, and then she will go ahead and read the question that we received ahead of time, as well as any other questions you may have submitted during the presentation. So, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Helena. Like you stated before, it looks like we have one question that was submitted prior to tonight's meeting, and I'm just going to read that real quickly for you all. Question is, what is the status of restaurants opening in the new construction along Lemmon? And the answer to that question is, as a part of the new development at the Brandon Center space, has been leased to a restaurant venue called On Rotation Small Batch Brewery and Tap Room. The craft beer boutique brewery is moving from its original location in Lakewood. We have been told that the venue will feature a kitchen with a Southern-inspired menu and takeout order pickup. Construction began last year and is scheduled to be done sometime this spring. So thanks for your question that was submitted prior to tonight's meeting. I do have a couple of questions that I would like to present to the community members that came through our live chat. And the first question is regarding Mockingbird Lemmon Aerodrome intersection. Can you please explain what changes are being made to improve traffic flow? This is the primary location for accidents on Mockingbird. So I'm just going to ask my team members, just any one of you to jump in if you have an answer to that question.
Hey, Rachel, this is Cliff. Let me go ahead and answer that.
Thank you.
So we're not actually going to be doing any work on the street itself. We're not changing the street flow. What we're working on is the landscaping in that grass triangle. But as far as the street traffic flow itself, that is not part of our project.
And this is Oro. And Cliff is absolutely right. This project doesn't, AVI doesn't have any roadway work here, but the Department of Transportation got a federal grant to upgrade the traffic signal at Aerodrome and Lemmon. So Aerodrome and Lemmon. So that work is to be, I don't know what the schedule is, but it's scheduled for the next couple of years. Sometimes you'll see that signal upgraded. Hopefully that'll help with some of the accidents we're having.
Okay, thank you. We do have another question that was presented regarding the North Neighborhood Park. How wide will the trail that connects to Northwest Highway be? Will the airport be installing sidewalks along the highway? Because none exist today.
Again, this is Cliff. I'm going to try to tackle this the best I can. The trail itself will be at least 10 feet wide, and Aro can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on this. But we'll make it at least 10 feet wide to connect from Northwest Highway up to the park itself. Are we going to install any sidewalks on Northwest Highway itself? No, unfortunately we're not. We do hope that that's all part of the overall Bachman Lake plan for improvements. Unfortunately, one of the things that we're restricted to doing is spending our money only on aviation property.
Wonderful, thank you, Cliff. There are no other questions at the time in the live chat, but I do have a comment from one of our community members. Just a little information for everyone that's online with us tonight. The Friends of Bachman Lake, Dallas Rowing Club, Groundwork Dallas, and local schools will be doing a spring cleaning at Bachman Lake this Saturday. And they have a link to details to the link at friendsofbachmanlake.org. So at the moment, there are no other comments in the live chat. Helena, I will turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. And as I said earlier, I'd like to encourage you to feel free to contact us with any questions, comments that you may have in the near future. As a reminder, these community meetings take place quarterly, so our next meeting will be on July, I think it's July 13th. but you will receive an invitation to attend sometime in the near future. Is there anything else, Cliff, before we go? Anything else from any of the participants or that we need to be discussing?
No, I think we've covered everything that we've got currently underway at the airport.
I'm sorry, Helena. This is Rachel. I had another question that just came through. It says, please speak to the status of the North Entry study.
Okay, this is Cliff. Let me go ahead and just talk about it. We refer to it, just so everybody understands, as the alternate entry, not the north entry, because we still have not, nor has City Council selected a route for the alternate entry into the airport. The work on the alternate entry has been paused because of the Bachman area study by COG. So they are going to be helping us review the needs for that entry. So it's going to be paused until close to the end of their study program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cliff. No more questions, Helena.
Okay, if there's no more questions, again, we want to hear from you. Please feel free to contact me. And that ends our presentation this evening. I'd like to thank you all for participating and wish you a very good evening. So until July. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody.
Thank you.